Listen to me. The reason most people never get to where they say they want to go is because they're stuck in this constant negotiation with their feelings. You know what I'm talking about. That little voice in your head that says, not today. That whisper that says, I'll start tomorrow. That urge that tells you, you've worked hard enough, take it easy. And what do most people do? They listen. They let their feelings drive the car. And they wonder why they're not moving forward. You can't let your feelings be in control. If you do, they'll keep you in the same spot year after year. You've got to make a decision that from this point forward, you're not negotiating with your emotions. You're operating from commitment. Because feelings are liars. Feelings don't care about your future. They don't care about the dreams you've written down. They don't care about the promises you made to yourself when nobody was watching. Your feelings care about comfort, and comfort will kill you slowly. I'm telling you right now, every time you let your feelings decide, you give away a piece of your destiny. Every time you roll over and hit that snooze button, every time you say, I'll do it later, every time you give in to the excuse instead of rising up, you're telling your brain that comfort runs your life. And if you do that long enough, your brain starts to believe it. It starts programming you to always choose easy. But the truth is, nothing great ever comes from easy. Nothing worthwhile ever came from choosing comfort over commitment. The people you admire, the ones you call successful, they're not special. They're just willing to do what most people won't. They learned the art of shutting down their feelings and forcing their brain to obey. You've got to train your brain like a soldier. You've got to give it commands and then execute without hesitation. No back and forth. No debate. No room for, I don't feel like it. You've got to treat your feelings like background noise. You hear them, but you don't respond. You move anyway. And listen, I know it's hard. I know it's uncomfortable to go against the grain of what your body and mind are screaming at you to do. But that's where greatness lies. Right on the other side of, I don't feel like it. That's where discipline is born. That's where momentum starts. That's where breakthroughs happen. You want to know how to separate yourself from the crowd. Do what they refuse to do. When they're sleeping, you're grinding. When they're making excuses, you're executing. When they're letting feelings dictate their life, you're forcing yourself to push anyway. Some of you don't even realize it, but your entire life is being run by negotiations. You wake up in the morning, and instead of just getting up, you negotiate. 5 more minutes. You sit down to work, and instead of diving in, you negotiate. Let me scroll a little first. You know you've got to take care of your body, but instead of moving, you negotiate. I'll start Monday, and you wonder why you're frustrated. You wonder why you're stuck. It's because you're letting your feelings sit in the driver's seat. You've got to take the keys back. You've got to stop being polite with yourself. I'm telling you right now, stop asking how you feel about it. That's the wrong question. The right question is, what needs to be done? That's an end of story. If it needs to be done, you do it. If it's part of the plan, you execute. You don't wait for inspiration. You don't wait for motivation. You don't wait until it feels right. You move because it's required. And when you start operating like that, something shifts. Your brain learns a new language. The language of action. It stops looking for comfort and starts searching for solutions. It stops defaulting to excuses and starts leaning into execution. And here's the best part. When you do that long enough, the hard things stop feeling impossible. What used to feel like punishment starts to feel like progress. You start to crave the challenge. You start to trust yourself at a deeper level because you know when you say you're going to do something, it's as good as done. That's when your identity starts to shift. You're no longer somebody who tries. You're no longer somebody who hopes. You're no longer somebody who only moves when it's convenient. You become the kind of person who shows up regardless. You become the kind of person who doesn't fold under pressure. You become the kind of person who forces their brain to obey. And that's a dangerous person to compete against because they don't stop. So the next time you hear that voice telling you to slow down, to quit, to wait until later, I want you to remember this. Your feelings are not the boss. You are. And the moment you stop negotiating with them, the moment you take full command over your actions, that's the moment everything in your life starts to shift. Stop listening to your feelings and start leading them. Discipline is not something you're born with. It's not a gift that just drops in your lap. It's a muscle. And like every muscle, it has to be trained. The problem is most of us don't treat it like that. We treat discipline like it's optional, like it's something you tap into only when you feel good, only when everything is lined up perfectly, only when the stars are aligned. That's why so many people stay stuck, because they keep waiting for the right mood, the right time, the right wave of motivation to hit them. But let me tell you something. If you wait for motivation, you'll wait your whole life. Discipline doesn't grow when you feel good. Discipline grows when you force yourself to do what's required when you don't feel like it. Think about it like the gym. The first time you walk in and grab those weights, it's uncomfortable. Your body resists. It burns. It feels heavy. It feels awkward. And everything in you wants to put it down. But the more you lift, the more you push through that resistance, the stronger you get. The weight doesn't change. You do. That's discipline. Every time you choose the harder thing, every time you stick to the plan instead of folding to your emotions, you're adding another rep. You're strengthening that muscle. You may not see the results right away, but trust me, it's happening. Every act of discipline is a deposit, and over time, those deposits add up to strength, to resilience, to a mindset that can't be broken. And let me be clear, discipline doesn't mean you won't feel tired. Discipline doesn't mean you won't feel frustrated or tempted. Discipline means you move anyway. It's the ability to silence the noise and lock in on the mission. It's telling your brain, I don't care how you feel. We've got work to do. And here's the truth. Every single person you look up to, every champion, every top performer, they're not running off motivation. They've trained their discipline so much that it carries them when motivation dies. Because motivation will die. Some mornings you're not going to want it. Some days you're going to feel empty. But if you've built that muscle, you can still move. You can still execute. That's the difference between people who start and people who finish. And the crazy part, discipline bleeds into every area of your life. You might start with something small, like committing to waking up early or sticking to a workout. But soon, that same muscle you built in one area shows up in another. Now you're more focused at work. Now you're more consistent in your craft. Now you're more reliable to your family. Discipline multiplies. It doesn't just shape one part of you. It shapes your entire character. People start to know you as somebody they can depend on, somebody who doesn't just talk, but delivers. And that reputation, that identity, is worth more than talent, worth more than skill. Because talent without discipline is wasted potential. Skill without discipline is a missed opportunity. But discipline will take average and make it exceptional. And I know what some of you are thinking, but it's hard. Of course it's hard. It's supposed to be. That's the whole point. You don't build strength in comfort. You don't build discipline by choosing what's easy. If it was easy, everyone would have it. You build discipline in the struggle. You build it when you're exhausted, but you still show up. You build it when you failed 5 times, but you're still willing to try again. You build it when you want to quit, but you tell yourself, not today. That's how discipline grows, through repetition, through consistency, through refusing to give in. And don't miss this. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken that muscle. You teach your brain that your word doesn't matter. But every time you keep a promise, no matter how small, you reinforce strength. You show yourself that you can be trusted. You're not just training your discipline. You're building confidence in who you are. Because when you know you can rely on yourself, there's no limit to what you can take on. So if you're serious about changing your life, stop waiting for discipline to show up out of nowhere. Start training it. Start with small wins. Start with the thing you've been avoiding. Start with the area where you know you've been slipping. And every time you push through, every time you stay locked in, when you could have quit, you're stacking bricks. One by one, day by day, you're building a foundation that can't be moved. And when storms come, when life throws everything at you, when the pressure feels unbearable, you'll still be standing because you didn't just hope for discipline. You built it. That's the secret. You don't wait for discipline. You create it. And once you've built it, nobody can take it from you. Pain is part of the process. I don't care who you are, what background you come from, or how talented you think you might be. If you're chasing anything worthwhile, pain is going to knock on your door. And most people, the moment they feel that sting, the moment life puts pressure on them, they back up. They see pain as punishment. They see it as a signal to stop. But what if I told you pain is not punishment, it's preparation? What if I told you pain is the proof that you're stretching, that you're growing, that you're stepping into places you've never been before? The problem is we've been trained to run from discomfort. Our brains are wired for survival, to seek comfort, to avoid anything that feels hard. But greatness doesn't live in comfort. Growth doesn't live in comfort. Everything you're praying for, everything you're grinding for, everything you've been dreaming about, it's sitting on the other side of pain. And until you rewire how you see it, until you decide to flip pain into power, you'll keep running in circles. See, pain is feedback. It's your body, your mind, your spirit saying, we're in new territory. And instead of panicking, instead of quitting, that's the moment you lean in. That's the moment you remind yourself, this is what I asked for. You wanted success. Pain comes with it. You wanted to level up. Pain comes with it. You wanted to transform. Pain comes with it. You can't skip it. You can't bypass it. You can't shortcut it. The question is not whether pain will come. The question is, what will you do when it shows up? And let me tell you something. Some of the strongest, most unstoppable people you'll ever meet are not the ones who avoided pain, but the ones who embraced it. They learned how to convert it. They took rejection, and instead of letting it break them, they let it drive them. They took failure, and instead of letting it define them, they let it refine them. They took the sting, the tears, the setbacks, and they turned it into fuel. They understood that pain is a teacher. It's shaping you, molding you, preparing you for stages and responsibilities and opportunities you couldn't handle if you hadn't first been broken down. Think about the gym again. When you're lifting weights, the very thing that causes pain, the resistance, is the very thing building strength. Without the resistance, there's no growth. Without the burning, there's no progress. That's life. Pain is resistance training for your character. It stretches your patience. It breaks down your pride. It forces you to develop grit. And that grit, that toughness, that endurance, that's what's going to carry you when the spotlight fades, when the applause dies, when life doesn't go according to plan. But here's the truth. Pain without perspective will crush you. If you don't train your mind to see it differently, you'll spend your whole life running from the very thing that's meant to elevate you. You've got to flip the switch. You've got to stop saying, why me? And start saying, try me. You've got to stop seeing pain as a setback and start seeing it as a setup. Because every time pain shows up, it's giving you a choice. You can fold, or you can forge. You can quit, or you can become unshakable. And don't get it twisted. Flipping pain into power doesn't mean it won't hurt. It doesn't mean you won't cry. It doesn't mean you won't question yourself. It doesn't mean you won't have nights where you feel like giving up. It means even in the middle of the tears, even in the middle of the doubt, you keep pressing. You remind yourself that the fire is not here to destroy you. It's here to refine you. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Gold doesn't shine without fire. You don't become the best version of yourself without pain. So the next time life hits you, and it will, I want you to stop asking, how do I make this go away? And start asking, what is this trying to make of me? That shift changes everything. Because now, instead of running, you're learning. Instead of retreating, you're advancing. Instead of shrinking, you're expanding. Pain becomes your ally, not your enemy. And once you get to that level, once you learn how to rewire pain into power, nothing can stop you. Because every hit you take, every trial you endure, every obstacle you face, it's not breaking you, it's building you. Flip pain into power, and you'll never see struggle the same way again. At first, doing the hard thing always feels forced. It doesn't feel natural to wake up earlier than everyone else. It doesn't feel natural to stay locked in when you're exhausted. It doesn't feel natural to tell yourself no when the easier option is right there waiting. That's why most people don't last, because they expect it to feel good right away. They expect it to be smooth. But hear me, nothing worth building feels natural at the start. The grind is uncomfortable at first. The discipline is uncomfortable at first. Consistency is uncomfortable at first. You're not supposed to enjoy it in the beginning. You're supposed to push through it until it becomes who you are. That's the secret. Consistency transforms what feels forced into what feels normal. Every single day that you show up, every time you do what you said you were going to do, you're carving new patterns into your mind. At first, it takes everything in you to stick to it. But after a while, it becomes automatic. You stop thinking about it, and it just becomes part of your rhythm. That's why you can't quit in the early stages. That's why you can't stop when it feels awkward or when no one's cheering you on. If you quit there, you'll never reach the place where consistency has reshaped your identity. See, when you keep doing something day after day, you stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined. You become disciplined. You stop saying, I'm trying to be consistent. You become consistent. You stop saying, I'm trying to be strong. You become strong. Because consistency doesn't just change your habits. It changes how you see yourself. You don't just do hard things. You become the kind of person who does hard things. And once that shift happens, it's over. Because now, it's not just about what you do. It's about who you are. But here's where most people miss it. They're waiting for the big moment, the big breakthrough, the big opportunity to show who they are. They don't realize it's the small daily decisions that shape the identity. It's choosing to do the work when nobody's watching. It's sticking to the plan when you're tired. It's pushing through when it's boring, when it's repetitive. When it feels like nobody even cares. That's where consistency builds the foundation. Because if you can do it in the dark, you'll be ready when the spotlight comes. And listen, consistency is not about perfection. It's not about never messing up. It's about refusing to quit. It's about showing up again and again and again. You fall, you get back up. You miss a day, you don't miss two. You stumble, you don't stay down. That's consistency. It's the relentless commitment to keep moving, to keep showing up, to keep pushing forward no matter what. And that kind of consistency over time becomes unstoppable. Think about water dripping on rock. One drop doesn't do anything. 10 drops don't do anything. But drop after drop, day after day, that water cuts through stone. That's the power of consistency. It looks small in the moment, but it creates massive change over time. And that's what you've got to remind yourself of when it feels like your efforts aren't paying off. Every rep, every page you write, every mile you run, every dollar you save, it's stacking. It's building momentum. It's shaping your identity brick by brick. And eventually, people will look at you and say, how do they do it? How are they so disciplined, so strong, so focused? And the answer won't be some secret formula. The answer will be consistency. You forced yourself in the beginning, and then you let consistency take over. And now it's no longer something you do. It's who you are. So don't stop just because it feels forced right now. Don't back down just because it's uncomfortable. Keep pushing until consistency transforms the action into identity. Because once it becomes who you are, nobody can take it from you. And when you reach that point, doing hard things isn't hard anymore. It's just what you do.